You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 324 for Sunday, the 19th of July, 2020.
Where dreams begin.
Well, hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jayne Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jayne.
Hello there, Michelle. School's out.
It is indeed. Our summer is here, and it was an incredibly surreal last day. I couldn't hug anybody and say farewell. There was no Leavers performance. It was weird.
Yeah, I've been a little bit luckier than you because I have been in contact with some of our Leavers, and we did go out of our way to have little socially distanced gatherings at the beginning of the week in small groups. But it was very peculiar because we had the children sat on chairs, and I had to say then, we can't touch you, we can't come up to you. And you could see these little faces going, but I want to give you a hug. So a little bit surreal and quite detached feeling from it all as well, which is not the norm. We would have had, like you, Michelle, we would have had a concert and lots of fuss made. But yeah, a bit peculiar, to say the least.
Yeah, 4 months out of education. I just hope in September I am back to teaching. I have got my first week back planned. I've got lots of art, lots of mental health activities, lots of establishing the new normal, if you like. So very excited for that. And there's even one or two little Disney touches going to be going into the classroom.
Oh, that's so unlike you, Michelle.
It is. It is totally unlike me at all. But without further ado, we have a bit of a show coming up. In a moment or two, we will be joined by the wonderful Seth Kubersky, who took time out on Monday to chat with me about his couple of visits he paid to the Magic Kingdom. And we'll pop that on. But we can't move forward without saying, as of recording today, on Friday, it was the 65th anniversary for Disneyland.
Many happy returns, Disneyland.
I cannot believe it. It seems like 2 minutes ago I was there for the 60th.
Is it just because we make more fuss now of every time there's like a round number anniversary, we kind of have to big it up? I don't know, but yeah, 65 years, that's not bad going though, is it?
Absolutely. So the other day I thought I'll have a go on Disney's website and try and purchase some of the Disney merchandise they've put out for Disneyland's anniversary.
And were you successful, Michelle?
No, I got into the queue and I was astounded to find out there was over 70,000 people ahead of me in the queue.
And so you dutifully sat down and waited and watched the number count down?
No, I didn't. I totally decided in disgust I was going to leave the queue because I think I haven't got that much time in the world to wait so long because it's ridiculous. 70,000 people.
Yeah, and like I say, it's a good number and everything, but it's like, not like it's like a particular, like a diamond anniversary or a ruby anniversary. It's not like, do you know what I mean? It is a number, but...
Well, Rebecca Michaels, she got in the queue ahead of me. She was positioned 23,809, which she sort of said at this rate she could make the 10-hour round trip to get there. And... it was like, oh my word, I just can't believe it. Christine Spurlock started at 20,088, and after 4.5 hours, she'd only got down to 15,420.
Oh, that must be so demoralising to see that.
After all of that wait, she got in, and then there was a server error, and she got booted out.
Oh, no.
But Rebecca stuck with it. Kudos to you, Rebecca. 8.5 hours later, she got in. Oh my
goodness. And was she able to get anything?
She didn't get the thing she wanted the most, but she was able to get the Minnie and Mickey logo pin, the Mr. Toad annual pass pin, and an annual pass ornament and the ear hat. So she was happy with that, and she did get the annual pass discount, so she was incredibly happy. at the end of the day. But 8.5 hours.
Yeah, I do consider myself to be quite a patient person normally, but I think I might just get a tad bored.
Yeah, well, I must admit, when I've been trying to get all the refunds from all of these travel companies, I have been on hold for some of them for 3.5, 4 hours. So it is like the life's been sucked out of you. But there are some amazing pieces of merch. There's a really cool 65th Spirit jersey, and on the back it says happiest place on earth, which I think is adorable, and I would love that. It's a navy blue colour, which looks like it's glitterized, and on the back the colouring of the letter is silver and a really nice paler blue, and I would really, really like that because I just love it. It is awesome. And there's also a Loungefly bag with the castle and Mickey and Minnie, but it's $80.
Not cheap, is it?
No. There are a couple of nice button-down shirts, $65. There's a nice one that's sort of that lovely blue with Mickey and Walt's partner statue and Disneyland under it. That looks a cool shirt as well. They've redone the 60th anniversary ear headbands, but in a darker blue.
Right.
It seems to be the signature colour, which they're nice, but I don't really want to buy ears, you know.
No.
Couple of nice t-shirts, but there's also a very nice skirt, and the skirt is the same as the man's button-down shirt. And I thought, well, that looks really nice.
Yeah.
$78 for a skirt. And I just thought, do you know what? I'd much rather get my own custom material and make something bespoke, because that's a lot of money.
Shame they're not selling the material, isn't it, and do it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so really, really nice. Really beautiful items, and they'll be probably on sale for 18 months, so I'll wait till one of my lovely friends are able to acquire one for me and pop it in the post.
I will just say that there's a jigsaw as well. That you know how mad I am on jigsaws. That does look quite cool. 1,000-piece right up my street. That would be.
Oh,
that's not bad. That's $22.99. So that's fairly standard jigsaw price. I'd be quite happy to part with that.
yeah, and a nice memento as well. Well, there's some delicious Disneyland food if I was in the park today that I would be devouring.
Oh, right, okay.
And there is only one place in the world that I would possibly get a corn dog. I'd share it because I'd only have a mouthful, but it is a tradition. They are delicious if you cover them in ketchup, and you've got to go to the corn dog wagon to go and get your corn dog. They are one of the iconic food items in Disneyland. But another one that you just have to have is a Mickey beignet, because nothing says Disney like a Mickey-shaped food and that lovely cloudy icing sugar pastry. Oh.
And the no-calorie effect as well, because it's Mickey-shaped.
Yeah, and they are nice if you do go to Cathy Orleans, because you do get the dipping sauces with them, which are amazing. But other classic things I like to get is the English toffee, which is nothing like English toffee, but it is really good. I wish English toffee was that good. And it's like quite brittle English toffee, covered in nuts, and it is delicious. Another one a lot of people like, and I'll be honest, I'll put my hand up, I've never had, is a chimichanga.
Okay.
I don't do the consistency of it in the middle, because it's basically mush inside, but I imagine it's what I would say is what us Brits would call a staple snack. We would have a sausage roll, whereas this one is their deep fried burrito, and I would like more texture in the middle, but the people I know who adore these absolutely go mad, so maybe that's one for the to-do list.
I'm going to say it's not something I've ever had either in Disney or not in Disney, to be fair, so yeah.
Yeah, and of course the iconic attraction that you can see from many angles in the park, which is the Matterhorn, and you can get the Matterhorn macaron, and that is a bargain.
Yeah, and it's not that you don't like this one, Michelle, do you? Because this is not one of your favourites at all, is it?
I still have got 2 in my freezer. And
Are they still there?
yeah, nobody else knows they're there because I've hidden them well, and I'm not going to tell you where they're hidden, but no one will ever think in my freezer to look for these macaroons. They're hidden in the frozen vegetables. Shh.
Of course. Well, coconut, vegetable. No, yeah. I don't understand the logic. Well, I do understand the logic because the logic is to keep them hidden, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then the final classic for many people, you cannot go to Disneyland without having a churros.
Yeah. These are very quintessential Disney food items, Michelle.
Yeah. Although I have missed a big boo-boo off is to have a Dole Whip while watching the Enchanted Tiki Room, because you can do that.
That's very true. You can't you, at Disneyland, yeah. So, yeah, the trouble is, Michelle, with all these quintessential Disney food items, that you could actually go on and on and on, because if you're eating it at Disney, then it's better anyway, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Could be anything.
It could be. I don't really care. It could just be a portion of fries, and I will just enjoy it and delight because of the atmosphere, the scenery, and the magic that surrounds me.
Yeah. Because that's what it's all about. It's not just about the food, it's about where you're eating it.
Yeah. The other night I was sat on the sofa, phone goes a little bing, and it was the unofficial guides, and Seth was doing a live from Hollywood Studios.
Right.
So I accompanied him as he walked around, and it looked really surreal. It was so quiet.
Yeah. I've seen a few bits and pieces, and it's like, yeah, these big walkways with very few people in it. It's very weird looking.
Now, he did say that Hollywood Studios was the busiest of the parks that he had been in. Because there's some big draws there with the attractions. Yeah. But it was really interesting to see. And I did ask him about the water fountains because he walked past one and it looked operational. And I thought, ooh. And he said some are actually in use.
Oh, because where have I seen? I think it's in Paris, isn't it? They're not being used at all.
I personally wouldn't be wanting to use one, to be quite frank. I'd take my own water, or I would have to buy some from Disney.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, normally we'd be advocating, not buying because it's expensive. But I think under present circumstances, particularly in, Florida, where things are not very calm as far as numbers go, I think I would be if I'm going to go out, then I'm taking every precaution I can possibly take.
Yeah, and as this show is released on today's date, the 19th, I should have been in London with Anthony Markham, having just watched Hamilton the night before, and on Monday we would have been going to Disneyland Paris, where I would have shown him around. So quite a poignant time, because I know a lot of people with the summer coming up have had trips cancelled and rescheduled or just had refunds or whatever. So, it's a weird old summer.
It is. It's one of the things we talked about at work today, because normally, last day at work, you're saying, what are your plans over the summer? And everybody's going, well, haven't got much happening really. And it's very peculiar not to have all, normally we're very busy, aren't we? With, like you say, going away and meeting people and one thing and another. And it's just not happening this year. At least you can get your Hamilton fix on Disney Plus though, Michelle.
True. I will give it another go, my lovely, I promise. Right, well, let's hear what Seth has to say about the Magic Kingdom and his couple of visits he's had over there.
Cool.
Where dreams begin.
Well, hello and welcome back to the wonderful Seth Kubersky. Nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you so much. It's great talking to you again.
I did dip in and out a little bit over the last few days while you've been streaming live from the parks. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's been a very busy weekend. In the last few days, I've been to Magic Kingdom twice, both for the annual pass holder preview and the first official day. And then spent a day at Animal Kingdom. Hollywood Studios is next up for me in a few days, but I actually can't get into Epcot until August.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something that we can talk about, the way that they are treating annual pass holders at the moment. The Walt Disney World is back in operation, at least for the time being. Just a few minutes ago, before we started recording this, they just announced that Hong Kong is shutting down again, and they only have a handful of new coronavirus cases. We had something like 15,000 here today, I think, in Florida. So maybe by the time you listen to this, the parks won't be open, but for right now they are.
Okay.
It was a very different experience. It was in some ways one of the best days I've ever had at the Magic Kingdom. And in other ways, it was very eerie. I can walk you through what the whole day is from parking on in, if you like.
Yeah, that sounds good because obviously the first thing you did is you went as an annual pass holder and you had to book. So if you start at that point and then as you digress, I'll ask questions if anything springs to mind.
I was lucky enough to get in on an annual pass holder preview, and I think those reservations disappeared within 15 or 20 minutes probably. And then I was also able to book an additional 3 days with the new Disney Park Pass reservation system, which is mandatory for all guests now. You have to go online and pick on a calendar what day and what park you want to visit. There's no more park hopping, and you can't just walk up to the gate and walk on in, even if you've got that platinum annual pass that you paid a lot of money for. The key here is that there's actually 3 different buckets of admission. They've capped capacity in the parks very low. I would say the most people that I was in the Magic Kingdom with was maybe 10,000 people.
Wow.
Average busy summer day in the parks is maybe 50,000 people, and New Year's Eve can see up to 100,000. So, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of, 10% or so of the people you'd normally have in the park. So they've taken that, capacity and divided it up among resort guests, day guests purchasing a regular ticket, and annual pass holders. Well, right now, annual pass holders are sold out for the rest of this month, for all weekends in August and into September. And there's only scattered availability for parks, basically through the summer. It's really hard to get into Disney Hollywood Studios if you're an annual pass holder. If you're a resort guest staying on site, you've got pretty good availability all the way through. And if you are willing to walk up and pay $109 for a day ticket, you can get in pretty much any day. You can even walk up on the day. I got to say, it was a little frustrating to learn that even though annual pass holders who are completely paid in full are blocked from being able to come in, they'll sell someone a one-day ticket and let them walk in.
Wow.
There is a loophole. It's not the world's greatest loophole. If you have an annual pass, you can walk up and buy a one-day ticket, and they will apply that credit to your next year's renewal. So you're not losing that money, but you're basically giving Disney an interest-free loan on next year's annual pass for the privilege of coming into the park on a day when annual pass holders are blocked.
In Walt Disney World, they've offered the refund or the extension to annual passes. Obviously, in Disneyland, they can't apply anything as yet because it's not got a reopening date. So were you able to take advantage of one of those 2 options?
I did get the extension. The extension is automatic. If you did nothing, they tacked on the length of the closure plus an additional month to make up for the fact that you no longer can park hop. But considering how restrictive the use of the annual pass is, I don't know if that's necessarily enough. Personally, I went to City Hall at Magic Kingdom and made a polite guest comment requesting that when there is, room left in the day guest and resort guest bucket, on the day of, maybe at 6 a.m., they open those up to annual pass holders. So maybe you can't plan it in advance, but you'd still have an opportunity to be able to go to the parks. So I would say that it was actually my biggest negative of the whole day. And considering we're in the middle of a pandemic, it's pretty good that was the biggest negative.
Yeah, sounds all right to me.
You've got to accomplish all of that, before you even head over to the parks. Once you've achieved all that, social distancing starts in the parking lot now. They are putting cars in alternating rows, leaving spaces between cars, and then going back later and reparking cars in empty spots after people have moved on. If you've ever, parked next to someone and you both try to open your doors at the same time and you've got 2 families trying to get out of their cars next to each other, this is a great improvement, and I hope that they keep this forever. The first day I went, there was a bit of a backup at the parking toll booths, but it seemed like they were spacing the cars out at the toll booths. So at least you're waiting in your car in air conditioning, in order to avoid backups further on at the transportation ticket center. So that was pretty smart, I thought. And then once you get out of your car, better put that face mask on. Disney is extremely serious about 100% face mask compliance. They're even a little pickier than Universal Orlando has been, because they won't accept neck gaiters, the kind of tubes that just pull up around your face. It has to be a 2-ply mask. It has to have loops that tie around your ears. I've seen families sent back, or they have a vending machine right there where you can spend $2 on a disposable mask. And then you're right through the temperature check. And this is administered by Advent Health, which is a local hospital chain. And it was extremely fast. I never had any delay. Just walk right up, put a thermometer near your forehead, it doesn't even touch you, and you're right on. I haven't seen anyone be turned back for the thermometer check personally yet. I'm sure it's probably happened. They have a tent where if someone doesn't pass the first time, they can sit and cool down for a few minutes and try a second time. But, even with the heat index of 100 and something Fahrenheit, I haven't seen anyone failing. And then the great thing is they've redone the security scanners. No more searching through your bags. No more, security guards with a little stick poking through your bags. The only thing that they really make you do is pull out your umbrellas. These new scanners that they have do not like umbrellas. So, or if you have any kind of metal canister or container. But other than that, you just take that, hold that out, and everything else, cell phone, keys, wallet, everything can just stay in your bag or your pocket, and you just cruise right through. Completely transformed the security. So if it took a pandemic to get Disney to finally fix their security checkpoint, I'm not saying it's worth it, but at least there was a silver lining.
That's good.
Then Magic Kingdom, of course, unlike every other theme park in the world, you've got a whole nother step after you get to this point. You've got your choice between the ferry boat, the monorail, and they are running the buses. I've taken each, and the buses seem to be the quickest. They're just running continuously. They've put plexiglass dividers between seats, so each family gets their own little row of benches with a little divider, keeping them away from the next group. 5 minutes total travel time from the TTC. That was great. Monorail can get a little bit more backed up. Obviously, the monorail always does, because it's now one or at the most 2 parties per cabin. No more standing, no more grabbing onto the handrails. You must sit on a bench. And again, they've put barriers in the cabins separating each group. So makes the monorail even a little bit more claustrophobic than it used to be, but it's not too bad. If you're really concerned about things like recycled air, ferry boat's probably your best bet. They've got little markers. They limit the number of people on each boat, keep people spaced, but plenty of fresh air. You can go up on the upper deck and really kind of space out. I felt like the transportation over to the park did pretty well. And also going through the touch points, no more fingerprints. You'll just put your Magic Band up against the sensor and head right on in. Don't have to worry about your finger scan anymore. I will say that the one issue that I did notice was on the first day, there was a long line outside guest relations for people whose reservations, park pass reservations, were not correctly attached to their tickets in My Disney Experience. So please make sure before you show up that you go into My Disney Experience, make sure it shows all the proper names, the tickets are properly attached. And if you have a problem, go on Disney's website. There is a direct phone number for their ticket modification line, or you can also call technical support for My Disney Experience. You'll probably wait on hold for an hour to talk to someone, but it's better than waiting outside in the heat to talk to guest relations at the park.
That sounds a good top tip.
So once you're inside the park, first thing you're going to notice is there are signs everywhere about COVID, about wash your hands, about keep your distance. Every single garbage can has a sign on it. There are hand washing stations and sanitizing stations everywhere. It's a little creepy, walking down Main Street, seeing all of this, what Walt would call visual intrusion. hearing the music interrupted every 10 minutes or so by an announcement to please remain distant from others and wash your hands frequently.
Really? Wow.
Yes, constantly. And kind of the creepiest thing is every single cast member who comes anywhere close to a guest is not only wearing a mask, but wearing a full face shield, like the riot squad, the SWAT team.
Hairdresser.
A biohazard, and that's a little eerie. I feel like Universal, whether it is ultimately going to be effective or not, has kind of done their best to balance being safe and having appropriate protocols with trying to keep some sort of normalcy, and Disney has gone more towards being very almost performative. I don't want to use that word, just very obvious in all of their safety changes. You go and get into a line for one of the rides, and the queues now have plexiglass walls, where it used to be just a chain link or a rope for a switchback is now a transparent wall. And I feel like Pac-Man running the maze, going through the queue lines now. And of course, they're all spaced out, with markers every 6 feet or so. That's different. Not having any meet and greets at all, not having any live shows at all is also very different. For me, any company can build an amusement park with rides and call it a theme park. But what makes Disney is the live touch and the human touch, the performers. You're not going to hug Mickey anymore, but you are going to see Mickey go by on a parade float, at least once an hour. They do this great little mini parade with all the princesses. On opening day, it featured Merida riding on a horseback. I'm not sure if that's going to continue anymore because it seems like a little toddler ran out in the street after her, and her balloon got caught around the horse's leg.
Yeah.
Merida went for like a bucking bronco ride. Luckily, it seems like everyone is safe and healthy, but that did not look great on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm not sure what they're going to do to prevent that from happening again.
That was really well controlled by the cast members, though, who were leading Angus down Main Street. They were fantastic.
They did an excellent job of calming him down and taking care of him. Yeah, I was impressed, but it was also scary to watch, and probably not the publicity that Disney was looking for on opening day.
No,
but I will say, as much as these kind of processionals and pop-ups were kind of like a substitute for the kind of entertainment that we're used to, they were actually a lot of fun. It was great not having to wait in a line or show up at a certain show time to see this stuff. And some of it was really clever. They had the Country Bears on the balcony over their Jamboree theater, kind of waving and mugging with people. And my favorite is Cinderella's stepsisters on the back of the castle, just, talking to guests and being really snarky. I would love to see more stuff like that in the parks when this is all over. So a lot of changes, a lot of things different. The lines, I got to tell you, the longest I waited all day, both days I was there for anything, was 30 minutes once for the Jungle Cruise at the peak of the day.
Wow.
I heard that there were some lines for Splash Mountain at one point, got up to about 45 minutes. And I think people heard that Splash Mountain was closing and thought they meant like tomorrow. And they don't realize that the ride's still going to be around for at least probably, maybe a year or so. The longest wait for anything in the parks was a 4-hour virtual line for the Splash Mountain gift shop. People buying up Brer Rabbits and putting them on eBay.
Yeah, not good.
But aside from those, by, say, 1 p.m., everything in the park was a walk-on. I did, I think, 12 major attractions, plus a couple minor things, in less than 8 hours, without even trying, without rushing, without using a touring plan or anything like that. Space Mountain walked onto. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train walked onto without anyone in line ahead of me. I'm sure if Disney said, we're having a special night where if you pay $500, you can walk on to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, people would pay the money. That was opening day. from the numbers I'm looking at, things haven't picked up any today. I don't know if they're going to increase the capacity, shift things around. I can't imagine that they can keep having this huge labor force because there's cast members everywhere. I don't know how this is economically sustainable in the long run. Forget about the health issue, just in terms of, payroll and income. But for right now, if you can manage to get that park pass reservation, it's kind of like every Disney ride junkie's fantasy. And it's like, be careful what you wish for. I always I always dreamed about having the park all to myself, and now that I got it, I wish all the crowds could come back.
Yeah. You've just mentioned a few moments ago about the virtual line. Can you just explain, can I not go in the Emporium anymore or any of the stores?
You can. For the most part, when I was there, you were able to walk pretty freely into all the stores. They all have physical queues set up outside, and then all the cashiers, and they count the number of people walking in. Each store now only has one door that lets you get in, and everything else is marked exit only. So for the most part, you can just walk in as long as there's room. But once they reach a maximum, and if the line outside grows too long, then what they do is they will take your phone number, and then they'll text you when it's your turn to come back. The only store that they had to invoke this for, as far as I know, was the Splash Mountain gift shop. Everything else, they have the capability of doing it. They're set up for it. But the only thing they needed it for was that gift shop. They've also turned to mobile ordering only at a number of restaurants. Things like Pecos Bill, Cosmic Rays, Pinocchio Village House, I used it there, where you have to go into the app, order your food, and wait until it notifies you that your food is ready to be picked up before they'll even let you through the door. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of good shaded spaces set up for people to wait for this, so you wind up with this kind of clump of people standing outside waiting to be called, which they could probably come up with some better solutions for that. And the other advice I would say is, if you are using mobile ordering and you're just ordering standard stuff off the menu, it took 5-10 minutes at most to get my food. But if you're ordering anything that is an allergy or it is vegan and hot, like a cooked vegan entree, you're going to wait probably 30 minutes at minimum because, they're being very careful with those items. There's limited capacity in the kitchens, because of social distancing. They can't cook stuff as quickly. Allergy and vegan items, you got to have a little patience.
Those are very interesting points to make because I've not seen much about that on social media about, if you've got a peanut allergy, at least they're still catering. You just have to be patient.
Yes. And I will say that the, at Universal, they also do mobile ordering, but their app is not nearly as flexible. At Disney, there are specific options to alert them to allergies and things like that. And they do a very good job of taking that seriously. It's just doing that takes time. It was personally a little frustrating just because we had ordered the vegan pizza, which is actually quite good. Like if you didn't know it was vegan, you'd think it was just like decent frozen cardboard pizza. It tastes like elementary school lunch pizza to me, which has a certain nostalgia. It was a little frustrating seeing a lot of people order and go right ahead of us while we were still waiting. But once they explained that they can only cook so much at a time in the specialty oven, willing to have patience. So
okay. What if I wanted to go up and buy a Mickey bar or a box of popcorn? Are there the little carts out and about?
They are, but they're fewer in number. They've cut back on them. I did notice, I never saw the Adventureland spring roll cart open during the day, but I did see like the Hub popcorn cart was open. You can find all the standards, but you're not going to find like 2 of everything around the park. There'll probably be like 1 spot maybe to get a turkey leg or whatever. But they are still available. They've put plexiglass shields around all of the carts in order to protect the workers inside, and they're really pushing contactless payments. So if you either have a credit card that's got the chip in it, or better yet, you've got a phone with Apple Pay or Google Pay, and you can just tap it, they're really pushing that right now. The other thing is that you are allowed to remove your mask while you're actively eating, but that doesn't mean that you can just take your mask off and hold a cup in your hand and walk around freely. They're really serious, like pull your mask down, take one sip or one bite, and then put your mask back up if you're in the street. And if you are doing more than that, if you're sitting on a bench or something and they see you, they will tell you, take it to a restaurant or take it to these relaxation zones. I will say with the heat and humidity, we made use of the relaxation zones on more than one occasion. They could actually use a couple more of them and make them a little larger. There's one in Adventureland. There's a little area that was at one time a McDonald's French fry cart, and they turned it into the Pirates Adventure place where you get your map for the Pirates Adventure game, which is no longer running. So that's a tiny little outdoor seating area, and that is almost a little too cramped for me. You can fit maybe 3 parties at a time, socially distant in there. The next best one is in Storybook Circus, where normally would you have the meet and greet. The circus-themed meet and greet is now just an air-conditioned area, and they've got some tables. They kind of have spots where, like, if you are sitting in this spot, you can take your mask off. And then my personal preference is the Tomorrowland Terrace, which was a restaurant, and they use it for the fireworks dessert parties. So that's a nice big open space. It's got covered high ceilings, but it's still open air with good circulation. And it's really spread out. So that was a spot that we really took a couple opportunities to go in there, make sure there was no one within any distance of us, and just take the mask off and breathe for a while. My best mask advice is bring a spare. You are going to sweat through whatever you have within a few hours. There's nothing worse than a soggy mask. So bring an extra one.
Okay. Is it magical? Because to me, it's sounding, yes, I can get on theme park attractions. Yes, I can see my characters. Yes, I can get my favourite foods. But am I going to walk down Main Street and have that big warm feeling in my heart?
That's a really hard question. I still feel like there's magic. It's a different kind of magic. I think overall that there's a lot less magic in the world in general right now. The world does not feel magical. And any little sprinkling of pixie dust, even if it isn't as shiny as before, is still kind of welcome. I think it's a really hard, because on the one hand, all of the signs, all of the masks, all of the announcements, it's a constant reminder of what's going on. You can't just disappear into the fantasy. Theme park guests do dumb things, not because they are dumb people, but because we encourage them to feel like they're in a bubble of safety where nothing in the real world can harm them, and they can just float around, and all this definitely keeps your feet on the ground. It brings you back to earth. But seeing the characters, even if it's from a distance, is it's really great. It made me smile seeing Tigger and Eeyore and Piglet on the Main Street trolley waving at us, or the Main Street marching band going by. Seeing them do the flag retreat at the end of the day, even with everything that is going on in my country right now. 4th of July was, and for a lot of people, was kind of challenging to celebrate wholeheartedly this year. I got a little teary seeing the flag retreat. It's kind of a special moment. And a lot of that stuff is still there. And I will say, my wife, while she's a big fan of Disneyland, she's not a fan of going to Disney World. And I kind of dragged her along to give me an objective second opinion. She stuck it out the whole day. We took separate cars because she was like, I'm probably going to bail by lunchtime. I don't think I can handle this. What she hates is the crowds and people running their strollers into the back of her legs and feeling rushed to go from one spot to the next. And we were able to take our time and notice things in the designs and the landscaping that we couldn't see before because there are just too many people, and really look at the new paint on the castle. We had lunch at the Plaza restaurant, which is one of those restaurants that most people, I think a lot of people don't even know it exists. It's right off the hub next to the ice cream shop, and it's probably the most overlooked spot in the park. And there were maybe, I don't know, 6 tables in the entire restaurant that were occupied. I think we had like the entire back room almost to ourselves, right up against the window, looking out at the castle. And it was really one of the most relaxing meals I've had in the last 4 months. It's a different kind of magic. I think the bottom line is, if this is your first and only trip to Disney World, if this is your once in a lifetime chance to experience the magic, and you have the opportunity to hold off for a year or so, I would probably push it back. I would probably hold off.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, as much fun as I had, it's not the full experience. And they haven't lowered the prices any. The hotel rooms cost exactly the same. The tickets cost exactly the same. You're not saving any money by coming during this time of reduced capacity and reduced entertainment. But if you're an annual pass holder and you can make that reservation, or you're the kind of person who's been here before, the ropes, the deal, what the parks are like, and you want to know what it felt like back in the 90s, before we had fast pass everywhere, before we had 180-day dining reservations, before the park felt like it was packed every single day of the year and there was no slow times. This is kind of like a time machine. It was kind of like, the Carousel of Progress, that last scene is like, in the future we'll have laser discs and car phones. Well, it's working. The time machine's working, because yes, we're back to the early 90s, when you could just walk around the Magic Kingdom without really having to plan out your day. The closest equivalent I can remember is immediately after September 11th, back in 2001, when the internet domestic travel just shut down. Hotels closed, the parks were in very limited operations, and the place was a ghost town. That's the closest I can say to what it's like now, and that is really eerie. But for if you want to get in your credits on the Haunted Mansion, or you just want to loop through Peter Pan over and over, this is the time to do it.
That sounds good to me.
We'll see how long they can sustain this scale of operation with such a limited audience.
Yeah. Well, thank you ever so much for popping by and talking to us about your trip back to the Magic Kingdom.
My pleasure, as always.
All I can say is keep yourself safe when you're back out again and visiting the other parks, so that you've had an opportunity to see the differences. And I do encourage people to follow Seth on social media, because he's doing loads of live streaming and things like that. So give yourself a bit of a shout out, lovely.
Absolutely. You can find me at theunofficialguides.com, and on Twitter and Instagram, we're at the UG series. Perfect.
Right. Well, until we catch up again, it's a goodbye from me. Thank you very much.
All right. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you guys make it back here sometime soon.
Me too.
Where dreams begin.
So that's the soundbite from Seth, and I must admit, when I've listened in on other podcasts that people have been to the park and sort of shared their experiences, I think everyone's had the same sort of experience with regards to it and shared some very similar tips. So it's sounding, everyone's having a similar experience, that the parks are very, very quiet, but a bit surreal.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case for a little while, isn't it? Yeah, and I think that applies to whether you're in a Disney park or another theme park, or just even in your local town centre. I think at the moment, everywhere's just not quite as it would be.
Yeah, absolutely, completely different. Anyway, I think it's about time we're going to sign off this week's show. Thank you everybody for tuning in and listening and supporting us, particularly our Patreons. We do appreciate the support you've given to us. and it's enabling us to produce this show and keep it advert free, which is, something we endeavour to do. We are going to keep up with our Sunday quizzes, so if you are a member of the Disney Dream Girls family, you are able to catch us on Zoom at 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern, or 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to join in the fun, you do have to join the podcast family first, so find it on Facebook. You can also contact us on social media at DisDreamGirls on Instagram and Twitter, and you can email us info@disneydreamgirls.com. But until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.